Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Dad's Gone Bad Gaming. Tonight, in ARK Survival Evolved, I'm going to show you how to build this centralized base on the island, which I feel is a necessary milestone before proceeding towards unlocking gates and the tech vault in this game. So I wanted to bring it back to my first base, which I built by hand and stone tools, with my first tame, which was a parasaur. But I had this as a basic hunter's hut, just a starting point on my way to making that centralized base. Now I also switched around the server settings so that my dinosaurs would tame up faster and be stronger, and that I would unlock technologies faster and gain levels and XP faster, because I really wanted to have fun with the game and to be able to do in 2-hour sessions what normally would take 10 hours to do. So I plopped down my hunter's hut on the safe southern beaches until I could build up some technologies and tame my first dinosaur, which I totally tricked out. There's the hunter's hut here. So this is my second base, and this is where I set up a crafting room as well as an interior space where I can keep my tame dinosaurs safe. Here I built up some of my basic tools and started to build up all the pieces for a much larger centralized base, which I'm going to build up by the volcano, which is at the center of the island and has much larger concentrations of better resources available around it, like metal and chitin that's in a cave at the base of the volcano. So that is my target area for where I want to build my mega base, my mega central base. So here's how the story goes. I managed to build a whole bunch of pieces, foundational pieces and walls and ceilings and all these different stone pieces that I needed, and I loaded them all up on my parasaur, and I had a raptor with me and a couple other little critters, and I set sail through this area here. And I was heading, and I knew where I was going, and I knew I was going to have to pass through the kind of risky areas out there, and I did, and crossed through this swamp, which is always dangerous, and we managed to kill everything we needed to do, but we zagged and went around the redwood forest here, but I'm just flying over it for the interest of time. But we circumvented that, and I was able to pick up a few different dinosaurs, and we were able to set down the base that you see here, at least the beginning of it, and it looked like this. And this was as far as I could get in the build with all the pieces that I was able to pre-craft back down at the southern beaches. And along the way, I had tamed a whole bunch of dinosaurs, including that Megalotherion, and specifically this guy, the Therizinosaur, who is number 2 on my top 10 list. And as you can see, I've been showing my top 10 list throughout the course of this video, but Therizinosaur is probably my favorite ground-pounding dinosaur. Early on, at least for the earlier part of the game, the Therizinosaur comes in at number 2. This guy is just great, and if you upgrade him, you can get his endurance up, his carrying capacity up, and his attack damage up, and his movement speed up, so that he can really be the best ground pounder out there. Additionally, he has a great sweeping attack, which I don't think any dinosaur can beat. But here is Doedicurus, number 5 on the top 10 list, and he is fantastic for a couple of reasons. He is specifically genetically geared to harvest rock. So if you need large-scale rock, which I do to build that base over there, then I need one of these guys and put a saddle on him and get him to harvest a ton of rock so that I can build a bunch of walls really quickly and finish up my base. Now, he's already taken 4 or 5 shots. Oh, there we go. Okay, so now I finally dropped him. So I bring back my Therizinosaur, because when you're taming dinosaurs, it's always good to have some protection around, because you never know who's going to show up. Now, these guys are berry eaters, so herbivores, that is, and I think it's the yellow ones, but just to make sure I put 3 in there, and I'm just going to sit on top of the Therizinosaur here and wait, make sure that nobody comes by, tag him for a tame, and somebody came by. 825 damage. Love it. But anyway, so this is what the Doedicurus can do. He can travel like a Pokemon or something like that, and he can harvest just an incredible amount and carry an incredible amount of stone, and it's just really fantastic. He's absolutely a must-have when you're going to be building a base. So then, with the Therizinosaur's ability to harvest wood and thatch, and the Doedicurus' ability to harvest up stone, I'm able to build up a ton of walls pretty quickly, and continue along building my base out here at the base of the volcano, which is, again, is the central location on the island. In the back of my mind that soon I'm going to start to need the large-scale resources to be able to build the workbenches and metal for the walls and the ceiling and the floors and everything I'm going to build. But that's not yet. I got to finish the ceiling first. But I will start to need resources like chitin and large-scale metal, both to be able to complete the base. And now with all the walls done, I decided to head inside and start working on the ceiling. And I realized that it's pretty difficult to actually place ceiling pieces from the saddle of a dinosaur that's really tall. You have to really jockey for position in there. So after I put up one row of ceiling tiles, backed off, decided to put up the main trap door that I'll be using eventually for the Argentavis that I'll have, which I'm going to get soon. But I got pretty frustrated after putting up the pieces, so I decided it was just best to just jump up there and try to place them as best as I could. But here's the best location, and here's my top 10 list of what I have so far. Number 2, the Therizinosaur. At number 10, the Parasaur. Everybody should have one. Megatherium, which is an amazingly good harvester. Number 6, Raptors, which are number 9 on the list. It's just good to have one because they're super cool and they're great little fast mounts. Sabertooth is number 3 on the top 10 list. Great for harvesting chitin. Number 1 is Argentavis. You should get them as early as possible so that you can build up their stats because they are the best mounts in the game. They're great at attacking, they're great at flying, they can carry stuff, they can travel long distances, super long distances. And from the central location, the Argentavis is your ticket to getting out to the outskirts or any other part of the island. And if you train them up a bit, you can do it in either one single flight or maybe having to stop off for a quick rest before you're continuing on. Now in this particular journey, you'll notice that there's a little bit of a base over there to the left that I'm not going to show you right now. But there is a T-Rex there. There's also a Utanosaurus, a Uteranosaurus. There we go, Uteranosaurus, an Allosaurus, another Argentavis. But I'm out here specifically looking for my number 4 on my list so that I can turn my base from stone to metal and build up all the industrial needs that I can produce so that I can be ready to move on to the next level of the game. But there's my target. So I'm going to go ahead and land over here. Dismount, and maybe I'll move a little farther away just in case. I don't want my Argentavis to get in the way of this whole taming process here. Thankfully these guys move pretty slow, so let's see how many shots it takes. 1, Ankylosaur, number 4 on my top 10 list. That's a bad shot. 2. Well, I really thought it was going to take more than 2 shots to tame him, but either way, you bring in some protection just in case somebody bad shows up, rolls into town. You never know. Those things always seem to happen in this kind of game. Just keep an eye on things, so I go over there and I tag him, make sure that I can see him. There's a nice little tag there, and you can see the progress bar of his taming, or you can look at it on the menu, and then sooner or later, sooner now, he pops up and he's under your control. Ankylosaurus. So eventually I'm going to put a saddle on him and bring him to an area where there's a lot of metal, because like the Doedicurus, this guy can harvest metal in crazy amounts of it and carry crazy amounts of it. So I come in and I grab him, and it's time to fly him out of here. And again, this guy is a definite must-have if you want to be able to resource enough metal to be able to build a lot of the fabricators and metal bases and greenhouse walls and just everything. So it's sort of the next level or the higher level production goods, the better rifles and ammunitions. But anyway, this is the base that I was talking about, and I'm just going to stop off here and make sure there's food in the food troughs so that these guys don't die. There's a Rex here, Ankylosaurus, and Uteranus, which I spelled wrong. I'll fix that. Argentavis. But Uteranus is number 7 on the top 10 list because he's just great. He's just fantastic, but I'll show him off later. Anyway, so I pick up the Ankylosaurus and I head back to my primary base, my centralized base, which is now, as you can see, I'm starting to already build it up a bit with metal, but I'm going to replace the whole floor and use the Ankylosaurus' ability to harvest metal to redo this whole place in metal. Big windows so you can see the volcano and have all the industrial machinery that I want, including a big, huge industrial furnace, forge to be able to resource the metal. Now, I find that the best place to put the Ankylosaurus is on the path that leads out of the volcano from the inside out. Right at the first ridge leading out of it, I put a food trough, and I put the Ankylosaurus in there, and I find that he resources so much metal that one run down this pathway, and right now it hasn't even fully repopulated, so I have to run down there. But you'll see that when he does harvest, he's harvesting 300, 317, just ridiculous amounts of metal every time he whacks something, and he can carry to just tons and tons and tons of it. So he's a wrecking ball. And he's a little bit hard to steer too, so I always feel like I'm going to fall off the cliff when I'm getting close to the edge. especially when things like that happen. He takes down trees and rocks. But he's fantastic, and you should have him. And you're going to end up doing many, many runs with him. And you're going to be able to bring down like about 2,000 metal every time, or iron, or whatever it is, every time that you come down with your Argent Tavis back to your base. It won't take you too long to be able to build up enough metal to be able to start building the industrial benches and the metal pieces to convert the stone building over to a metal building. But before you're going to be able to do that, you're going to have to massively resource chitin. And to do that, I set up a base, chitin resourcing, at the central cave base at the base of the volcano. Show it there up on the map. Right there, see? Anyway, there's a base there, and you want the saber-toothed tiger to be the critter that you bring into this cave, because he can resource chitin when he devours the bodies of the critters that are in this cave. So you can potentially get a ridiculous amount of chitin in one run through this cave. Alright, these flying things will jump scare you all the time. You just get used to it. With the saber-tooth, I tend to prefer to just walk slowly through the caves. He tends to move really fast when you engage the run. But if you stand still or just slightly back up and move forward, and just keep chopping away, it pretty much wipes everything right out. And it resources the chitin better than any other critter in the game. And its torpidity is amazing, so it doesn't get that overwhelmed by all the toxins that all these critters, which are poisonous, are attacking with. Again, this is kind of abbreviated, but looking around this corner here, I was really surprised, because it was like, oh, I thought there was just one thing, but they're all bunched up right there. Again, adding to the tremendous amount of chitin that I was able to haul out of this particular run. But most of them are like this. When the caves spawn, there's so many things in there that one run through there will provide you enough chitin to produce the amount of cementing paste you really need to make in order to produce large-scale machinery and also all the weapons and armor that you want to make. I'm especially looking forward to making all the wall pieces and ceiling pieces and foundation pieces that are going to be needed to finish the first milestone of this adventure project that I'm working on. Also, every time I come down this cave, there's always one surprise attack where they're hiding inside the wall and they blast my entire suit of armor right off my body. So I finish up that fight, get a little hurt, and leave. That's about it after this battle. Like, they really do like to hide in the walls, so you gotta be careful about that stuff. Still want to make sure I get everything I can get, but yeah, I think it's time to go after that. Probably have as much as I can carry at this point anyway. Doesn't really take too long to get all loaded up and quickly return back with a full load of chitin. And I mean a whole bunch, as you can see here, like just tons and tons and tons of chitin. And it's one of these for every 2 stone to make a cementing paste. So that is a great big haul, which is great. And there's all the stuff I don't need. And then you bring it all back to the base. And that's where you're going to put it all into the chemistry bench and turn all of the chitin into cementing paste, which is the first step, or I should say the last step I need, on my pathway to converting this whole place over into a fully metal structure. I'm going to raise up the floor all the way across, make it all metal, fix that glitch in the wall over there. But at this point, I am now collecting enough chitin that I can make enough cementing paste with the chemistry bench. It goes really fast when you put a bunch of it in there. And you power it up, and you have to put gasoline inside of this thing. Once you do that, you can turn it on, and what you can build lights up. And you can build a whole bunch of it, and it builds really quick, so much faster than in one of those mortar and pestles. It just goes great. As you can see here, this is not sped up. This is how fast it's going in the game when you're playing it. It's very cool. First time you see it, it just makes you happy. And so that's great. So now I have all the resources I need to convert this whole entire building over to the structure that I want. So in future videos, I'm going to show you this building and the resources that are going to be needed to operate it efficiently. So being able to mass resource oil, because oil is used to make fuel, and fuel is absolutely necessary for pretty much all the machinery in this base. So it's a very important resource to have. In that northwest base where I have that T-Rex, that is my sort of home away from home up there that I've used to, it's close to where those resources exist. So the oil resourcing is not far from there. You can fly out there. And the other thing that's important out there is the silica pearl resourcing. And again, which I'll show you in the next video that I'm going to do about ARK Survival Evolved and my adventures here trying to actually complete a run-through of the game. But of course, knowing me, I have to go build crazy to enjoy having a centralized base and feel like I have full control over everything that I need to be able to move forward in terms of finding the artifacts, which I guess is what you're going to need to open up some gates and portals and a Tek Cave that's in that volcano there. So, again, thank you for watching, everyone, and I hope that you tune in next time when I broadcast from ARK Survival Evolved. Have a good night, folks, and like and subscribe. Cheers.